A broken heart does not destroy your life. It destroys the version of yourself that believed someone else was the center of your world. The moment you understand this, your pain begins to change. Most people think love is their greatest strength, but history proves something different. The greatest kingdoms were not destroyed by enemies outside their walls. They were destroyed by weakness inside them. Your heart is no different. The person who broke you did not steal your future. They only exposed the place where you gave away your power. And today, you will learn how to take it back. Not with revenge, not with begging, not with empty motivation, but with a mindset that has helped powerful people survive betrayal, rejection, and loss for centuries. Stay until the end, because the last lesson is the one almost nobody understands, yet it changes everything. Most people believe a broken heart is caused by losing another person. That is the first mistake. The real pain comes from losing the future you imagined with them. You are not crying only because they left. You are mourning the life your mind created. Every plan, every dream, every conversation that never happened continues to live inside your imagination. The heart fights reality because the mind refuses to let go of fantasy. This is why two people can experience the same breakup while one moves forward in weeks and the other remains trapped for years. The difference is not love. The difference is attachment. Attachment is dangerous because it slowly convinces you that your happiness depends on something outside yourself. At first, it feels beautiful. You wake up thinking about one person. You smile because they send a message. You feel alive because they choose you. None of this seems dangerous. But without noticing, you give them something they never asked for. You give them control over your emotions. The day they leave, they unknowingly take that control with them. Suddenly your mood depends on someone who is no longer in your life. That is not love. That is dependence disguised as romance. Power is rarely stolen in a single moment. It is surrendered little by little. Every time you ignore your own goals to chase someone's attention, you surrender a piece of yourself. Every time you accept disrespect because you fear being alone, you surrender another piece. Every time you change your personality just to keep someone interested, you trade authenticity for approval. By the time the relationship ends, you feel empty because you have spent months or years giving away parts of your identity. Human nature has always followed a simple rule. People value what is strength. They rarely respect what constantly begs for acceptance. This truth is uncomfortable because it forces you to look inward instead of blaming everyone else. After heartbreak, many people ask, why did they leave me? A better question is, why did I build my entire piece around someone else's decision? One question creates victims. The other creates growth. Think about a castle with strong walls. If one visitor leaves, the castle remains standing. But imagine a tent built in the middle of a storm. One strong wind destroys everything. Your emotional life should be a castle, not a tent. Strong foundations do not mean you never love deeply. They mean your identity exists even when love disappears. This is why chasing closure often makes the pain worse. You believe one more conversation will heal you. One more explanation will fix everything. One final message will give your heart peace. But closure given by another person is fragile because it depends on them choosing to provide it. If they refuse, does that mean you must remain broken forever? Of course not. Waiting for someone else to heal you is another form of surrender. The strongest people understand something that most never learn. Healing begins the moment you stop negotiating with reality. The relationship ended. The promise was broken. The dream collapsed. These facts hurt, but they are still facts. Fighting reality only extends suffering. Accepting reality does not mean approving of what happened. It means refusing to waste your future arguing with the past. Your mind may replay memories again and again. It will remind you of the good moments while hiding the painful ones. This is one of the greatest tricks your emotions play. Memory is rarely objective during heartbreak. It edits the story. It removes the arguments. It softens the disrespect. It magnifies the affection. Soon, you begin missing a version of the relationship that never truly existed. Ask yourself an honest question. Did you miss the person, or did you miss the feeling of being chosen? Many people confuse these two things. Being loved feels safe. Being wanted feels important. Losing those feelings creates panic. But panic is not proof that someone was right for you. It is proof that your emotional habits need rebuilding. There is another mistake almost everyone makes. They try to fill the empty space immediately. Some rush into another relationship. Others bury themselves in endless entertainment. Some seek constant attention from strangers. For a short time, these distractions reduce the pain, but they do not remove its source. They only delay the moment when you finally face yourself. A broken heart is not only a wound, it is also a mirror. It reflects every insecurity you ignored, while the relationship distracted you. Fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. These fears existed long before the breakup. The relationship simply covered them. Now they stand in front of you, demanding attention. This moment feels cruel, but it carries an opportunity that comfortable relationships rarely provide. Pain removes illusions. It forces honesty. It asks difficult questions that success never asks. Who are you when nobody is applauding? What do you value when nobody is watching? Can you respect yourself even when someone else does not? Most people run from these questions because they hurt. Yet every powerful transformation begins with uncomfortable truth. The person you become after heartbreak depends on whether you use pain as a teacher or as a prison. One path leads to wisdom. The other leads to endless repetition, where every future relationship repeats the same hidden mistakes. There is one principle that changes everything, but almost nobody applies it because it demands patience instead of emotion. Once you understand it, heartbreak stops feeling like the end of your story and starts becoming the beginning of your greatest advantage. The principle is simple, yet most people refuse to accept it because it gives them full responsibility for their future. Your greatest cure is not finding someone new. It is becoming someone who cannot be emotionally controlled. The day your peace no longer depends on another person's attention is the day you become truly free. Freedom is not living without love. Freedom is knowing that your value remains untouched whether someone stays or leaves. Look carefully at the people who recover the fastest after heartbreak. They are not always the richest, the most attractive, or the most successful. They simply have a life that is bigger than one relationship. They have goals that continue moving forward. They have habits that give their days meaning. They have purpose waiting for them every morning. When one chapter ends, another chapter is already being written. Compare this with someone whose entire identity was built around one person. When the relationship ends, everything ends. Their routine disappears. Their motivation disappears. Their confidence disappears. They wake up with no direction because they never built one outside the relationship. The breakup did not steal their purpose. It revealed they never protected it. This is why powerful people guard their independence. They enjoy love, but they never abandon themselves for it. They understand that affection is strongest when it grows between two complete people, not two incomplete people searching for someone to rescue them. You may ask yourself, how do I become emotionally strong when every memory still hurts? The answer is not by fighting your emotions. The answer is by refusing to let them become your leader. Feel them, learn from them, but never let them decide your future. Emotions are temporary visitors. Principles are permanent guides. Imagine a captain sailing through a violent storm. The waves are real. The wind is real. Fear is real. But if the captain allows panic to control the wheel, the ship is lost. The wise captain accepts the storm while keeping his hands firmly on the course. Your emotions are the storm. Your discipline is the wheel. Discipline after heartbreak begins with very small decisions. Wake up when you promised yourself you would. Exercise even when your mind says there is no point. Read when you feel like scrolling endlessly through old messages. Build something instead of replaying what has already ended. Every small act tells your mind the same message. I am still in control. Most people underestimate the power of these small victories. They are looking for one magical conversation that heals everything overnight. Life rarely works that way. Strength is built quietly. One promise kept, One healthy choice repeated. One difficult day survived. Months later, people call it confidence, but confidence was simply discipline repeated long enough. Another trap waits for almost everyone after a breakup. The desire to prove your worth to the person who left. Suddenly, you want them to regret losing you. You imagine them seeing your success, your new appearance, your achievements. At first, this motivation seems useful. It pushes you forward, but if you are not careful, you are still living for their approval. They remain the center of your decisions, even in their absence. True power begins when your success no longer needs an audience. You improve because you refuse to remain the person you were yesterday. You become healthier because your body deserves respect. You earn more because freedom requires resources. You learn new skills because your future deserves preparation. None of these actions require someone else's applause. Human nature notices quiet strength. People who constantly announce their growth often seek validation. Those who are truly growing become too busy to explain themselves. Their results speak before their words do. Silence has a strange power. It removes the need to convince anyone. Many broken hearts remain broken because they keep reopening the wound. They check old photos. They reread conversations. They visit social media hoping to discover some hidden clue. Every visit feels harmless, but each one tells the brain that the story is still active. Healing cannot fully begin while you continue feeding yesterday's emotions every single day. Think of a wound on your hand. If you remove the bandage every hour to check whether it has healed, you slow the process. Emotional wounds follow the same rule. Sometimes the strongest action is simply refusing to touch what no longer belongs in your life. There is also a lesson about loneliness that most people misunderstand. Loneliness is not always your enemy. Sometimes it is your greatest teacher. When you stop escaping silence, you begin hearing your own thoughts clearly. You discover what you truly enjoy, what you truly believe, and what kind of future actually belongs to you. A person who cannot enjoy their own company will always risk becoming dependent on someone else's. History repeatedly shows that great transformations often begin in periods of isolation. Without constant distraction, people are forced to confront themselves. Some become bitter, others become wiser. The difference is not the pain they experienced. The difference is the meaning they gave to it. Do not waste your suffering. If heartbreak teaches you stronger boundaries, it was not meaningless. If it teaches you to recognize manipulation earlier, it was not meaningless. If it teaches you to choose character over charm, it was not meaningless. Pain becomes valuable only when it changes your judgment. There is another truth that many avoid because it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes you were not only hurt, sometimes you also made mistakes. Perhaps you ignored warning signs. Perhaps you accepted less than you deserve. Perhaps fear kept you in a relationship that should have ended much sooner. Admitting your mistakes is not self-hatred. It is self-respect. You cannot improve what you refuse to examine. Blaming the other person for everything may feel satisfying, but it teaches you nothing. Taking responsibility for your own choices gives you something far more valuable than temporary comfort. It gives you control over your future. Never confuse forgiveness with permission. You can forgive someone without inviting them back into your life. You can wish them well while protecting your peace. Boundaries are not acts of cruelty. They are acts of wisdom. A door that remains open to repeated disrespect eventually becomes an invitation for more pain. Many people believe strength means becoming cold and refusing to love again. That is another illusion. Bitterness is not strength. Bitterness is simply pain wearing armor. Real strength allows you to remain kind without becoming naive. It allows you to trust wisely instead of blindly. It allows you to love deeply without losing yourself. One day, someone better may enter your life. If that happens before you heal, you may unknowingly repeat the same patterns. You may become overly attached. You may seek constant reassurance. You may fear every disagreement. But if you first rebuild your foundation, the relationship becomes a choice instead of a necessity. The strongest relationships are formed by people who know they can survive alone. They stay together because they want to, not because they fear loneliness. That difference changes everything. As your confidence grows, something surprising happens. You stop chasing people. You stop forcing conversations. You stop trying to convince others of your value. You begin observing instead of pursuing. You notice who respects your time, who keeps their promises, and who brings peace instead of confusion. Your standards rise naturally because your self-respect has grown. This is the quiet transformation that heartbreak can create. The person who once begged for attention becomes the person who carefully protects it. The person who feared rejection becomes the person who values peace over unhealthy attachment. The person who once depended on another's approval begins creating a life that stands firmly on its own. But there is one final lesson that separates temporary recovery from permanent freedom. It is the lesson that turns heartbreak into your greatest source of strength instead of your deepest weakness. Start asking how to build a better one. This single shift changes everything. The person you were before the heartbreak is gone. That may sound painful, but it is also an opportunity. If that version of you led to the same suffering, why spend your energy trying to become that person again? Life is inviting you to become someone stronger, wiser, and harder to shake. Most people measure healing by one question. Do I still think about them? That is the wrong question. You may think about someone years later. A memory does not mean you are still trapped. The better question is, do they still control my emotions? If the answer is no, you are already free. Memories are normal. Emotional dependence is the prison. Think about every difficult season you have survived. At the time, it felt impossible. You believed the pain would never end. Yet here you are. You survived days you once thought would destroy you. This heartbreak is no different. It feels permanent because you are standing inside it. But time has a way of revealing what emotion tries to hide. Nothing lasts forever, including pain. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they have lost their chance at happiness. They say, I will never meet anyone like them again. They forget that before meeting that person, they also believed they would never find someone like them. Life has surprised you before. It can surprise you again, but only if you stop staring at the closed door long enough to notice the open one. Do not confuse familiarity with destiny. Sometimes you miss a person simply because they became part of your routine. The mind loves what is familiar, even when it is unhealthy. This is why people often return to relationships that repeatedly hurt them. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth, but growth always asks you to leave comfort behind. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day. At first, it feels unbearable. Then your body adjusts, and you stop noticing the weight. One day someone removes the backpack, and instead of feeling free, you feel strangely uncomfortable. Your body had become used to carrying unnecessary weight. Emotional burdens work the same way. Sometimes healing feels uncomfortable because you are learning how to live without the weight you carried for so long. There will come a day when you hear their name and feel nothing but quiet acceptance. Not because you erase the past, but because you no longer live inside it. You will smile at memories without wishing to return to them. You will recognize lessons without reopening wounds. That is what real healing looks like. Many people believe confidence comes from hearing compliments. Real confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say, I will wake up early, and you do it, confidence grows. Every time you promise to finish a project and complete it, confidence grows. Every time you choose peace, instead of chasing someone who has already walked away, confidence grows. Confidence is earned through action, not given through praise. Your future is built by the habits you repeat after your heartbreak. If you repeat self-pity, your future becomes smaller. If you repeat discipline, your future becomes stronger. Every morning presents the same choice. Feed the wound or feed your potential. Both grow with attention. The question is which one deserves your energy. There is a quiet kind of power that few people notice. It belongs to the person who no longer needs to win every argument, prove every point, or chase every opportunity for revenge. They understand that peace is more valuable than being right. They know that every minute spent trying to punish the past is a minute stolen from building the future. Revenge often looks attractive because it promises satisfaction. You imagine the other person regretting their decision. You picture them watching you succeed while wishing they had stayed. But even if that day comes, it rarely brings the peace people expect. Why? Because your happiness is still connected to their reaction. You are still waiting for them to complete your story. The strongest revenge is not making someone miss you. The strongest revenge is reaching a point where you no longer need them to. That is freedom. The moment their opinion becomes irrelevant to your self-worth, they lose the power they once held over you. There is another truth that many overlook. Heartbreak teaches you how precious your attention really is. Attention is your most valuable resource, because whatever receives it begins shaping your life. Give your attention to resentment, and resentment grows. Give it to learning, and wisdom grows. Give it to discipline, and strength grows. Your future follows your focus. Guard your attention carefully. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every memory deserves another hour of your day. Not every opinion deserves your concern. People who master their attention eventually master their lives, because attention directs energy, and energy creates results. As you continue moving forward, you will notice something unexpected. The qualities you once searched for in others begin appearing inside yourself. You become calmer because you stop depending on chaos. You become wiser because mistakes forced you to think more deeply. You become more patient because pain taught you that real growth cannot be rushed. This is the hidden gift inside every heartbreak. It strips away illusions. It shows you where you abandoned your standards. It reveals the difference between love and dependence. It teaches you that self-respect is more valuable than temporary affection. These lessons are expensive, but once learned, they continue paying you for the rest of your life. Never lower your standards simply because you feel lonely. Loneliness passes. Regret often stays much longer. Choose people who respect your time, your values, and your peace. Choose relationships where honesty is normal, not rare. Choose people who celebrate your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. Most importantly, choose yourself often enough that losing another person never means losing your identity. One day, someone may enter your life who appreciates the person you have become. They will not rescue you because you no longer need rescuing. They will walk beside you, not carry you. They will add joy to your life, not become the source of it. That is the difference between mature love and emotional dependence. Until that day arrives, continue building your own kingdom. Strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, protect your peace, learn new skills, build meaningful friendships, create work that makes you proud, invest in experiences that make you wiser. The more complete your own life becomes, the less likely you are to surrender it for temporary attention. Remember this whenever your heart tries to return to the past. The person who hurt you may have changed your story, but they do not get to write the ending. That privilege belongs to you. Every decision you make from this moment forward becomes another sentence in the next chapter of your life. Stand taller than your disappointment. Think deeper than your emotions. Act with more discipline than your fears. Your heart may have been broken, but your future has not. The pain you carry today can either become the chain that keeps you trapped, or the fire that forges a stronger version of you. The choice has always been yours. So do not ask life to erase your scars. Ask life to make them reminders of what you survived. Do not ask for an easier path. Ask for greater wisdom. Do not wish the past had been different. Build a future so meaningful that the past no longer has the power to define you. That is the true cure for a broken heart. It is not another person. It is not revenge. It is not forgetting. It is becoming someone whose peace, purpose, and self-respect are so deeply rooted that no departure can destroy them. When you reach that point, heartbreak stops being the end of your story. It becomes the moment your real life finally began. If this message gave you a new way to see your pain, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, share it with someone who needs these words today, and leave a comment telling us the lesson that stayed with you the most. Your next step toward a stronger mind starts now.